Hello, and welcome to celiac.com news. Subscribe to our channel to get the latest celiac disease and gluten-free diet news, and if you have any questions, be sure to join the celiac.com forum online at celiac.com. And now, let's move on to the latest celiac.com news. The hidden gluten: why barley poses a risk in U.S. food labeling. For people with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, avoiding gluten is crucial. But while most know to steer clear of wheat, barley often slips under the radar. Even though it contains gluten and can trigger the same autoimmune response, barley isn't always clearly identified on ingredient labels. This presents a serious challenge under current U.S. food labeling laws, which don't always require disclosure of barley-based ingredients unless the product is specifically marketed as gluten-free. Barley is one of the three primary gluten grains, alongside wheat and rye. It's been cultivated for thousands of years and is commonly used in brewing, baking, and food processing. But barley doesn't always appear in its whole form. Instead, it often shows up as malt extract, syrup, or flavoring, forms that still contain gluten and can harm people with gluten intolerance. Even trace amounts are enough to cause damage in those with celiac disease. Barley-derived ingredients can be found in a wide variety of foods, including cereals, granola bars, soups, sauces, baked goods, snack foods, and drinks, especially beer and malt beverages. Some of the most common ingredients that may contain hidden barley include malt extract, malt syrup, malted milk, malt flavoring, barley flour, barley malt, and certain yeast extracts or natural flavorings. Many of these ingredients don't clearly signal the presence of gluten unless you know what to look for. In the U.S., the FDA allows foods to be labeled gluten-free if they contain less than 20 parts per million ppm of gluten. However, this label is voluntary. If a product isn't labeled gluten-free, there's no legal requirement to disclose the presence of barley or its derivatives, because barley isn't considered a major allergen under current U.S. law. Unlike wheat, which must be disclosed due to allergen laws, barley can fly under the radar completely. This lack of mandatory labeling is risky. For instance, a product might list malt flavoring without stating it's derived from barley, and unless the product carries a gluten-free label, consumers are left to guess whether it's safe. Non-specific terms like natural flavors or yeast extract add to the confusion, leaving people with celiac disease or gluten sensitivity at risk for accidental exposure. So what can consumers do? First, learn to identify barley-based ingredients by name, especially those like malt extract or barley malt. Choose certified gluten-free products whenever possible, particularly in higher-risk categories like cereals, sauces, and snacks. Don't hesitate to contact manufacturers directly if ingredients seem unclear, and be especially cautious with anything containing malt unless it's explicitly labeled gluten-free. Advocacy groups and medical professionals continue to push for stronger regulations, ideally requiring all gluten-containing grains to be clearly labeled, even if the product isn't specifically marketed as gluten-free. Until then, the burden falls on consumers to stay vigilant. In short, barley poses a hidden threat for those avoiding gluten. While not as well known as wheat, it's equally harmful for sensitive individuals, and unfortunately, current labeling laws don't offer sufficient protection. Understanding how barley appears on ingredient labels is key to avoiding it and maintaining long-term health for those with gluten-related conditions. To get the latest celiac disease news and information, be sure to subscribe to celiac.com news. Thank you for tuning in, and see you next time.